Welcome back to the Bejeweled podcast, where I'm trying to keep warm at 84 degrees.
Please don't judge me.
I'm Joel, I'm Liam for 121, and fun fact, this week marks the 10th anniversary of 4 Picks, 1 Word.
And the name is Zach. Jiozak.
Great.
Yeah.
Very topical of that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the Bejeweled podcast, episode number 19, the second one of the year. Technically the first, but you know what happened last time. But last time, we look back at 2022 gaming perspective with lots of crazy games and all that kind of stuff. But enough of the past, it's time for the now, and the now is all about Goldeneye, one of the most recent releases on the Nintendo Switch Online package, one of the N64 games. And I'll be discussing about that, well, something around that lines, in due time. Later on, Jiozak will be talking about his stories about the Switch OLED and more. And later on, with 2023 marking a new year and more releases on Nintendo 64 Online package, me and Jiozak will quickly discuss on our opinions on the games that are coming up. If you guys are hyped for more Bejeweled podcasts here on the channel, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more content new, follow Jiozak on these social handles, and ring that bell to get fun and tab on the channel. Last podcast on the card up here. Anyways, you ready, Jiozak?
Yeah, let's do it. We might need to bump up my mic a little bit. Let me listen to the stream.
I think your mic is fine, but that might just be me.
Through the stream, my mic is noticeably quieter than yours.
Oh, hang on. Let me try to fix that. Okay, audio output looks fine. I think it just might be Discord, so let me bump this up. Sorry, guys, I need to quickly change this up. All right. How about now?
Let's see. Test 1. I'm having to list.
Perfect.
Oh yeah. That's good.
Perfect. Okay, I need to adjust something as well. There we go.
That is one thing I've noticed with some of the previous episodes. It's like, oh, I am much quieter.
Yeah,
So
I also didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what did I do wrong?
We should be good now.
All right, yeah, we should be good. And let's get into it. 3, 2, 1. And of course, I have to change that up. So now the music should be playing, although I need to bump that down just a tad more, because I realized that oh wait, there we go. My thing was not playing just now. I have to bump that down just a tad, because I realized that the sound is a bit loud still. Oh shit, a bit up there. There we go. I'm gonna have to probably listen to the stream later on to figure out if that's fine or not. Anyways,
Yeah.
time for the actual topic finally now after some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Alright, let me just change something up. Oh dear. Man, lack of space is hindering me right now, but I think I should be fine on that front. Perfect. Alright. So, Goldeneye for Nintendo 64. It actually is not the main topic, even though we teased it a bit. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, the reason why I'm bringing it up is that... Is that because I sneeze? No. It's because I actually have a very interesting history with first-person shooters. Well, not really say GoldenEye 007, but more so the very common first-person shooters that you might know of. Like, for example, Counter-Strike. There's, what else? I mean, now there's like Fortnite, there's Apex and all that stuff. But for me, it was pretty much CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, that kind of made me a bit left out when I was young.
Interesting. Why is that?
Okay, so the reason why was that when I was young, for those who are wondering, I actually was born with autism. And because my parents were, I wouldn't say overprotective, but protective over me to make sure that what I do is not really influenced by what I play. Most of the games that I play were mostly just like very simple games like platformers. Like, that's how I fell in love with the Mario series. My first Mario game I ever played was Super Mario Land, and that was on a 28-in-1 pack, a game pack that I had on the Game Boy Color.
Oh, okay. Yeah, one of those multi-packs that was popular back in the day.
Oh man, but those were the days when I was the alongside that there were some other games on there like very classic arcade games like Bomb Jack, oh boy, another version of Andromeda, if that's the way I can say it, Crystal Quest, Dragon Slayer, a lot of like the very classic arcade games you might know for the Game Boy. But the one thing in common with all of them, none of them were first-person shooters.
Yeah.
I never grew up with a first-person shooter at all until... Actually, I never played one until I think the age of... 19 in a LAN network. I'm not too sure about LAN. I'm not too sure you know about LAN, Jiozak.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been to at least one Halo LAN party.
Oh wow, that sounds fun. But I remember
Yeah.
that the first time I ever played like properly CS:GO was actually through LAN. My brother brought me and well, his then girlfriend, now sister-in-law, my sister-in-law at that, to a LAN, and that was where actually I finally got to play proper some CS:GO. And I'll tell you right now, I was trash.
I bet.
Hey, no, that's joking. It's true though, because like
I'm talking from my own experience, but yeah, continue.
yeah. Oh no, I'm just joking around with that. But no, in all seriousness, I was very bad at it, and admittedly, it was also to the fact I never had any practice, if any, minimal practice, if any at all, on CS:GO, let alone any first-person shooters, and it was just horrible trying to play, especially when you know that your opponents are just looking at you like, "Bruh, why are you so bad?"
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a very awkward feeling to an extent. Where's the counter? There we go. So that's why when I was young, right, I definitely struggled. And the worst part was that when you grow up, I mean, earlier on when I was young, I didn't really have any friends that played first-person shooters per se, but it was mostly my brothers that kind of like, made me wonder like, well, why I'm not allowed to play this. If you're wondering, my brothers played some games like, well, CS:GO for one, World of Warcraft Frozen Throne, StarCraft 2, Left 4 Dead 2. I'm sure you know about that.
Yeah.
And MapleStory. But that was back in the days. Now, MapleStory is a bit of an asterisk for me because eventually around 2012, I actually got to finally play the full game proper. And fun fact, I still have an account, it's just that it's very stale now because I've left it alone for, I think, 9 years now. Actually, nearing 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The reason I stopped playing was not because I didn't want to play anymore, it was more because the computer that I was using was super laggy.
Gotcha. Okay.
And for those wondering about technology back in the days, MapleStory back in the days was not as, like, well, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Technically demanding?
It was technically demanding back in the days. Like, it wasn't
Okay.
really, like, specialized to have less space. So because of that, some of the older computers, especially the one I used, struggled trying to load the game, let alone any, like, environment in the game at that.
Interesting.
So that's why eventually 2013, I remember the computer actually had to be scrapped. So I ended up, like, stopped playing, basically.
Okay.
But, and so now, yeah, so therefore, when I was young, I never actually got to play the games my brothers play, and back then they were playing like FPSs and MMORPGs, and honestly, I had very little experience with those games. If you're wondering why I'm not talking about MMORPGs as the main reason, as one of the, as the main topic for today's podcast, it is actually for two main reasons. One, I know exactly why I suck in them, and that's because I'm not really great with like planning strategy. Like, for those who played World of Warcraft, you know that it's mostly like, not only just like bring minions to like certain points and clearing off turrets and then your opponent's base. It's also about strategy of trying to redirect your opponent away from a certain place, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason is that, oh, how was that? What's the other reason? Okay, I forgot. Oh wait, the other reason I not really bringing it out is the fact that most of my friends don't actually play those games either. Like back in secondary school, I remember like most of the games they played, and I said way too well about to say, is mostly the CS:GO and some other shooting games as well. And that was actually when the disparity between my playlist and their playlist was clearly shown.
Okay.
If you actually take a time portal and go back to like when I was in secondary school, you will realize that the talk, what they say is definitely based off of games that they play, and most of these like shooting games and anything of the like. And I didn't grow up with them. I grew up with Mario and Sonic.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of what you're talking about is like it basically what. Yeah, same experience for me. I never really played shooting games like FPS games growing up, but it seemed like everyone else around me was.
We are the outsiders.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, as I say that, I actually had to study that book for literature in secondary 2.
Interesting, okay.
I actually still remember part of the story, and I remember the most striking one is, the very most innocent guy getting a knife and killing the boss, if you know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh, you haven't read the book, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that at least is just a bit of a tease on what the book is like. It's actually a very good book, honestly, for those who want to have a look at that. It's a very old book, but honestly, it's still very good to read, even till now. But anyways, back to the topic. Yeah, the disparity was clear to show, and when it came to like gaming talk, whenever it's not about anything, not talk about anything like chemistry related or English related, it was quite difficult for me to try and like gel in with my friends, because as I said, most of what they play is first-person shooters. I'm just like, what is gun?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would feel every time they would talk about what they play, and it really was a struggle trying to fit in. And I think that might be the case for some others back in 2010s. I would say now may not be as bad of a situation, but I will get to that in due time for those wondering. So yeah, it was just a struggle trying to like relate to them, and it went to the point where it was just hard mentally, because it's like, why no one play what I play? I feel lonely.
Yeah, I felt a similar way growing up. And actually, Splatoon has really been the first shooter that I've actually been able to get into, because I was never really allowed to play them growing up, even though the one Halo LAN party that I was a part of was in our house. My older brother had some friends over, and I played a couple matches, did not do well. But yeah. Funny that we're talking about this and I bring up Splatoon. I have a unscripted video that I'm working on that is about Splatoon 3 that should be out within the next couple days.
Well, there's your tease, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, because if you're watching here, then yeah, may as well just tell you, because I have it like the editing is going along. Not to derail the conversation, but like, yeah, suffice it to say, what you're talking about, I very much so relate to, because it's basically what it was like for me growing up. But also, like, yeah, I was never really interested in shooters growing up, just because they all kind of looked the same, and that sentiment, I feel, for me, still carries on to this day, except for Splatoon. But, anyways.
And let me just write something real quick. Alright. So yeah, I mean, I'm great to know that you also relate to me on this kind of thing, because even I honestly thought that I was like very alone when it came to like playing games, because I think, for those wondering, the only shooter that I played, like, I would say seriously in close brackets was Red Crucible 2 for Facebook. So it's like, it's one of those things where for those wondering, Red Crucible 2 is another first-person shooter, and it's actually very similar to CS:GO. And again, like what you said, most first-person shooters look the same. And I think Red Crucible 2 pins the nail on the head on that topic because it honestly felt like a modified CS:GO in certain parts. You're matched up with randoms just to like beat the opposing team. I do remember very specifically that I do remember very specifically that oh, what was it? What was it? I remember basically that I had one time that I was very good all of a sudden, where like I think I got like 4 kills in one. Okay, Jiozak.
Yeah.
I remember
I
very
was like, nothing is going on with this.
I mean, I don't know how to. I actually don't know how to like do the chat thingy. Actually, wait, can I do it on my phone? Can I think about it? That's fine. But as I do the thing, I do remember very specifically, getting like, there's certain times I'll be very good. I did remember getting 4 kills in one game at one time. But even then,
Nice.
I was still very trash at it because you gotta realize that, especially with games like these, there's also the lag, the lag situation because I'm from Singapore and most of the players back then probably were American.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do I still
Yeah.
play? Actually, I actually don't know how to ban on the OBS.
Oh.
Oh dear. Okay, how do I do this? Oh dear. Oh wait, hang on. Oh wait, no. Yes. Oh wait. Probably the Twitch comment. I forgot I could do that. You can tell it's been a while for me to using Twitch commands. Got it.
Yeah, like,
There we go. Perfect.
yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to. I actually it's been a while since I've done that. Also, Topi and Baby Horde, hi. Glad to see you here on my stream. Man, it feels weird being stream again. It's been 4 weeks. Like I honestly been
wow.
trying to stream on like one of the days, the Saturdays in between, but I just couldn't. I really didn't at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone Chinese New Year, so a lot of preparations and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, you've been busy.
Oh no, yeah, I've been super busy. Anyways, back to, let me just get back to the stuff. Oh wait, hang on. Perfect. So, back to the top 8. Like, even then, when I was playing Red Crucible 2, my skills did not necessarily like increase or get better. I just like, okay, just try and put reticle perfectly opponent. Oh, he keeps moving. Oh no, I give up. I don't care.
Yeah.
That was me
that
in a
on
nutshell.
PC?
I was playing on the PC at the time.
Okay. This is my first experience with shooters was on a console. I do not like playing shooters with a controller, except for Splatoon, because the gyro aiming actually helps to alleviate having to like get the reticle right, like just right with the stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the reason why I just never liked shooters when I played them is because I was playing on console where I couldn't aim.
Tch.
So
I know that feel. I can't imagine how this playing first-person shooters with joystick. I feel like someone who is experienced with these kind of games must have had a lot of like frustration training to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for years that was the only way to be able to play a shooter on console is you had to just suffer with using 2 sticks. But Splatoon was really the first shooter to implement gyro, and it was like a shooter that had any sort of notoriety to it and actually was successful.
Wait, part of me asking, what does Nodariaty mean?
Notoriety, How do I define it? Let me open up Google.
When in doubt, always choose Google. That's always the case.
Yep. Notoriety. The state of being famous or well known. Oh, for some bad quality or deed.
Bah!
So, the opposite of notoriety. Does it give examples of antonyms for notoriety?
Clipping that.
Yep. Notoriety, antonym. Notoriety. Oh, wait, no.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did we have a situation like this last year where we thought a word meant something and then...
I feel like we did, and I feel like it was something that I said.
Probably.
Yeah, honestly, probably.
Jeez. See, this is also why we do podcasts like this, because such banter like this.
Oh, yeah.
Second time, too. I think this is gonna be a trend, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Renown is probably a good antonym for...
I think that may be the better one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now you know. To be fair, I think there was one time I thought being... Oh, wait. Being thrifty meant spending a lot.
Oh, being thrifty, yeah. Which, if you're thrifty, you spend as little as you possibly can.
Yeah, which apparently is me, and I thought that was the opposite of it. So even my vernacular is still not as perfect.
Mm-hmm. Both of our vernaculars are cramping still. Or at least mine is.
Anyways. Anyways. Let's get away from vernaculars and just say this. So now that you've seen all that what I said about like my problems with FPSs and how it has affected my childhood, I'll just say right now, I can see why I suck at them, but there's certain parts I'm just like, why do I still not good at them? And the main reason I know for a fact is the fact that I'm very bad with with aiming. Sometimes when I play games, I do tend to shake a bit, and that definitely is a no-no when it comes to playing first-person shooters when you have to be, as you mentioned, accurate.
Yep, especially if you don't have gyro.
Yeah, I mean, most of the early shooters that we know of don't probably use gyro.
No, no.
I think any CSGO player can easily sentiment with that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're playing on PC, then you have the accuracy of a mouse, which gyro is kind of the bridge between dual stick and mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So.
It's still a challenge for me, and even till now, because I still remember trying, like, you know, that day when I played CSGO for the first time in so long, and it's just like, man, how do I aim? Especially when your opponent has a lot of lag too, because the fact that you're playing with randoms also means that you possibly are playing with people from across the border, and oh boy, it can be very tricky when they have the internet may not be as strong as compared to you because you're playing on LAN, and they end up kill you even though you clearly shot them first.
Yeah.
Which I believe is, I think, the plight of any first-person shooter player, I would say, when they first start.
Yeah.
I know you said that you did play console, so you didn't have any lag, but even then, I assume for you it was still a bit frustrating, right?
Yeah, even though we were playing either on the same console, like 4-player split screen, or at a LAN party where all the Xboxes were hooked up to an Ethernet switch. Even with that, like, I never got the chance to play a console shooter with having a whole screen to myself. I was always playing in split screen, so I also had to fight with the fact that I had this little bit of screen real estate that was mine. So, yeah, I was never really able to, like, make things out in the distance, and all of a sudden I was just dead, and it's like, okay, well, that just happened.
So for you, it was mostly like not being able to play with full screen. For me, it was just lag.
And
Oh.
also having to deal with dual stick.
Oh yeah, true. That is probably another reason. And even if I also didn't have like the best, even if I didn't have that problem, there was still the problem also strategizing your movement, and the fact that you only have like a front view of yourself. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So whenever it's like I try to like aim to a certain place, and all of a sudden I get killed from the side, it's just like, bro, where you come from?
Yeah, that's another thing going for Splatoon is that because it's third person, you can see to the left and right of your character.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And for CS:GO, I remember it's always first person. It's just like I will try to like hide somewhere, and even then someone will just still manage to get me. I'm just like, ugh. And you know the worst part about it all?
What?
The heart attack you can get.
The heart attack?
You know how like you're just trying to aim at something, you're so focused, and all of a sudden someone kills you from a sniper, for example, and all of a sudden your character all of a sudden just goes to a bloody mess. And it's just like, bruh.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Like, for me, that was also a big issue for me, and also why I didn't like first-person shooters, because it felt like I'm just getting heart attack after heart attack every time I get killed for no reason. Or seemingly for no reason, of course. I mean, the reason, of course, is I got shot. But it just feels as though, like, I clearly am hiding. Why did someone got me from the side?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it does require you to know the map and know the best hiding spots. But even then, there's certain times where you even choose the best hiding spot and it's still someone will kill you from seemingly from nowhere.
Yeah. Just being able to be aware of the map is like something that, even though I'm looking at the play times that I have for Splatoon 2 and 3, I definitely have over 200 hours total. And yeah, awareness is still something that I'm trying to work on. It's something that doesn't come overnight. You really have to work on like being aware of everywhere that the other players might be.
Is that good, like, cognitively for you, though? Just wondering.
As just like a mental training?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Like having a good working memory of the map that you're playing on, and if you go into the map in like recon mode, you can do that in Splatoon, and just walking around and getting a sense of potential hiding spots and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely using your working memory. But yeah, it's something that does take quite a bit of time for it to just come naturally.
CS:GO, why you never implement it? Actually, then again, I think they may have over the years. I don't know. I feel like they haven't, though. I feel like someone in the chat might correct me on that, but that's why I remember from CS:GO when I last played it.
Okay.
Oh, and the fact that actually, yeah, another reason that I can see, I now know why that I sucked at it was the fact that it's mostly a team game, and when you're playing with onlines where you can't really communicate, yeah, you see where this is going. It's like you will end up becoming the weakest link, and even though you don't mean to, and everyone just like yells at you, it's just like, bro, why you so bad though?
Yeah, that's one thing a lot of people talk about. Like, something that they don't like about Splatoon is that there's no voice chat. Although that's made it to where a lot of people who don't normally play shooters, like I've heard basically people who aren't cis males, they have really seemed to gravitate towards Splatoon because it's a more open and inviting community, and there isn't voice chat, so you like there's no way that someone could even hypothetically bully you for the way that you sound, for sounding not like a cis male, basically.
You know, when you said like teasing people on how they sound, the only I can think of is, oh, what an Irish accent, or something on the lines of that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I doubt it's because of that.
Yeah.
Please don't accent shame people.
No.
But other than that, though, like, yeah, it definitely was a tricky time just trying to figure out, oh, what my opponents are trying to tell me, or in terms of their movement. Sometimes they also try their best to indicate where you want them to go in terms of how they move, and even then, you don't. Sometimes that kind of movement, some people may not be able to pick on, including me. So it's like they will get also frustrated over that too.
Yeah.
But then again, I feel like people still have times, reasons to complain. Hashtag the other podcast we did the other day about that. How, people on Twitter just like to complain about stuff.
Yeah.
Splatfest.
Yep.
Which, by the way, white chocolate, dark chocolate, or milk chocolate?
Dark chocolate.
Yep, same. Dark chocolate.
Even though I like all three chocolates, something about dark chocolate I just like a little bit more than the other two.
I find it sad. There was one post I saw on Twitter about it. That was actually the first post I saw about the new Splatfest, and it said the person said, "Who would willingly eat white chocolate freely?" And I'm just like, oh dear. I mean, white chocolate is sweet. Let's be honest. I remember when I first tried it, even though I liked it for a bit, I'm just like, man, this is way too sweet.
Yeah, it's honestly probably out of the three, it is the one that I would choose last. But, yeah, I can see why a lot of people just do not like white chocolate. Although one of my favorite candy bars to get is and some people are gonna puke at hearing the H word, but the Hershey's cookies and cream chocolate bar.
I mean, yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, it's white chocolate with I think the chocolate is white,
but
and
it's
then
not.
It has like bits of cookie in it, almost like Oreo cookie.
But it's not actually white chocolate, basically.
Well, I'm kind of unsure if it is actually white chocolate or not, but I mean, I've definitely had actual white chocolate before. But yeah, do you know about like the reason why I said that a lot of people don't like Hershey's?
No, actually, I'm curious to hear the story.
So basically, a lot of people, I don't remember if this, I mean, it's gotta change from country to country, but basically there's people from some countries where they have American Hershey's, and no joke, they think it tastes like vomit.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it's something about the ingredients that American Hershey's chocolate uses that someone from another country has American Hershey's, and they're like, this reminds me of vomit. Why do Americans like this? Whereas it's probably the chocolate that a lot of us Americans like grow up with having, like especially if if it's during the summer and we're doing s'mores on a campfire, like that is Hershey's chocolate that we're using.
I know I have some viewers from Singapore, and I'll just say that right there. I'm so sorry if now you think of Hershey's as vomit. Because honestly, I would say right now, I think I can speak for most of us. We love the Hershey's, like, the droplets.
Okay, yeah, the kisses.
Oh yeah, the kisses are so good, especially the cookies and cream one. So to hear that kind of story about American Hershey's, it's like, Oof. Oof.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say that it's like British people specifically who have American Hershey's. They think it tastes like that.
Mm.
Something for you to anyone listening to pull up a new tab and look up.
Yeah. That's so crazy though, honestly. I wasn't expecting that kind of thing. Oh, so pardon me on this.
Chocolate! Chocolate!
Yeah, sorry. I had to,
Oh.
honestly. I had to.
Yeah. Chocolate.
Anyways,
Yeah.
away from chocolate talk. But yeah, I think overall those are the reasons why I feel like I've been so awful at FPSs, and why honestly it's just so hard for me to get back into them every now and then. Which is a bummer because honestly, as someone now this decade, I've been wanting to really appreciate more of the other games that I haven't played, like Final Fantasy. In fact, as a bit of a tease, I am doing Final Fantasy 4 this year. Do stay tuned. It's still a bummer knowing that for FPSs like, well, I don't know, like possibly Left 4 Dead 2 if I plan to play that, or Apex or that kind of stuff. Maybe some of like the more classic ones like Left 4 Dead 2 or anything on the like. I know that I'll probably struggle at first because I am so awful at aiming and being able to strategize at that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the only first-person shooter that I might be very inclined to play is Garry's Mod's Murder.
Okay, I've heard of Gary's mod, but not murder specifically.
Okay, I don't really want to bring this guy up in particular, but I'll just say him. This person that I watch, where I did a lot of Garry's Mod Murder on Twitch, and then posted it onto YouTube. And honestly, those were my favorite Garry's Mod videos because just the idea of one person having a gun, being an innocent person, a bystander, sorry, and then one guy being the murder with a knife, running around in an open space, which may not necessarily be like the same. They have different maps basically. It looks so fun. And honestly, I told myself that might be the only first-person shooter I might be very interested in compared to others, because it's just very simple. You shoot the murderer, you win. Or it's a murderer, you kill everyone, you win.
Yeah.
Only problem is, I don't think everyone in the world plays Garry's Mod.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like things just like very old now. It's like, who would play it now?
Right. Right.
So it's just a bummer. Let me think. But yeah, even then, I really still want to get into FPSs in due time. I'm just hoping that there will be a perfect time for for some people in my group to be vaguely interested, and then all of a sudden all of us play together, and then it turns out to be a success per se.
Splatoon 3. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's that. There's that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that caught me off. That caught me off guard so bad.
Yeah.
Alright, hang on, let me just write some stuff. Oh, what happened?
Sure. So, did you have anything specifically about GoldenEye 007 that you wanted to talk about, or just your overall, like, prior history with...
Well, there is one last thing I want to mention. I'm glad that now in this current generation, that no one will have to go through the same thing we both went through at youth. Because right now, with so many young kids, even at the age of 2 or 3, I dare say, playing mobile games, especially Among Us being one of the most popular multiplayer games that everyone can get into, I'm just glad that no one has to go through like possibly what we went through.
Right. Right.
So overall, I would say now I think this gaming disparity can finally, well, cease. But at the same time, it's just like I'm hoping it doesn't happen again, or with anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, if you didn't have anything else to add, I do want to talk a little bit about the controls for 007.
Go ahead.
So, uh, people have been realizing and sort of finding out that the controls for 007 on the Switch, they are the exact same control schemes as the original game, and that doesn't really translate well to a modern controller with 2 sticks. But people have sort of found a workaround that involves using a specific control style in the game, because it gives you multiple different control styles,
Okay,
as
good.
well as remapping some of the buttons in the Switch's operating system. So basically, you have to do this in the pause menu in the game. So you load up a first mission or whatever mission and hit the pause button. You tab over to where you can change the control style. Excuse me. And you want to specifically select style 1.2 solitaire. So, like, the styles are like 1.1 honey, 1.2 solitaire. The names are like, I think, the different code names for the different bonds? I don't know. That's what I've heard. But
Honey, get over
basically-
here!
Yeah. Yeah, there's 1.3 kissy, 1.4 goodnight. You can also, if you have 2 of the like reprints of the N64 controllers, you can still use 2 of them and use the sticks on 2 of them to have actual dual sticks. But just we're talking about if you only have a Pro controller or Joy-Con. Select 1.2 solitaire, then go to the controller remapping on the Switch, which is in your system settings. And let me pull this up here. What you want to do is you can swap both of the analog sticks. So have the right stick be on what is actually the left stick, and vice versa, because the solitaire controller scheme has movement on the C buttons and looking around on the control stick. So swapping the sticks in the controller remapping makes it normal. Now, this does mean when you're navigating the menus, you have to use what is actually the right stick. But other than that, remap ZL to R and ZR to ZL. And I remapped R to ZR, so then I would still have that just in case. But other than that,
I have my Switch
now
up.
you-
I tried to demonstrate this because that definitely sounds interesting now that you mention it.
yeah, loads of people online have been making videos. If you look at Nintendo Life's channel, that's where I first saw this, and yeah, it's after you do that, it works perfectly. Works how like a modern shooter would control. One more thing, if you go back into 007, there's like if you're on the controller style tab, if you go one more over, there's look up / down. Normally it's on reverse, so basically inverted aiming.
Oh.
But you can change it to what they call upright, which is just normal, or not inverted.
Since when was
So-
what was Goldeneye 007 a flying game?
Yeah.
That definitely sounds
Um,
interesting that there's inverted camera controls just for a shooting game, and I'm just like, wait, oh, that sounds.
I mean, shooters do have inverted control options. Like even Splatoon does.
If people are more used to that than the other style.
Yeah. And then this same menu screen is where you look all the way down. It says ratio. Normally it's on normal, but if you change it to 16:9 and then back out to the game, like back out from the pause menu, then you get the actual 16:9 like proper widescreen that was advertised in the announcement trailer earlier this week, because it will actually properly fill up the screen. Funnily enough, it completely removes the sidebars that Switch Online introduces. So
That's
yeah.
cool.
And before someone says this, the channel Good Vibes Gaming, specifically John Cartwright, made a video about how if you have 2 pairs of Joy-Con, if you have one pair as player 1, one pair as player 2, and you select the control style, or really any of the control styles that use 2 N64 controllers, like, you're able to basically use one of the player 1 Joy-Con and then one of the other player 2 Joy-Con to have like actual proper analog movement instead of what's technically the C buttons, but it's a little more fiddly, and you cannot do it in 3 or 4 player split screen nor online play on the Switch Online app, because the Switch only lets you have one player 1 controller hooked up when you're playing online with other people, whether that be Pro Controller, 2 Joy-Con that are specifically set to player 1, or a single Joy-Con that's player 1 on its side. Yeah, so that's why, like, even though technically doing like the 2 pairs of Joy-Con like that does give you better movement, if you're wanting to actually play with other people, doing the 1.2 solitaire with remapping some of the triggers like that is really the way to go, basically. That's my PSA for people.
That's not a PSA. That's not a bad PSA per se, honestly. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, knowing that this will be probably my first-person shooter in first-person shooter in a while, I think I might still stick with the regular controls. But if it really turns out to be that bad, then I might configure them the way that you mentioned, so that it might be made better, basically.
Yeah, you might want to, because the regular control style 1.1 Honey, let me back out. Yeah, it's tank controls.
Oh!
On the stick, so forward and back moves you forward and back. Left and right on the stick turns your view left and right.
Oh.
So
Huh. So basically,
yeah.
Bubsy 3D. Oh man, did I just say that?
Yeah, so unless if you're already like comfortable with tank controls, I would say, yeah, just remap the controls and use solitaire.
Sorry, Farron, if I gave you PTSD with that. If you're wondering, I forced Farron on its first PlayStation showcase to play Bubsy 3D.
Oh boy.
I forced him to play it. I had a lot of channel points because of it.
Jeez. Get to torture him.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so yeah, there we go. FPSs in a nutshell for me, and I mean, I'm hoping in due time I get to play. For those wondering, FPSs are not out of the realm of games that I want to do on my YouTube. It's just that it's very unlikely that I will play like one per year, if that makes sense. I mean, that's it for my topic. I believe... Well, firstly, toilet break if you need to.
Oh, sure, I guess.
I remembered this time.
Yeah. Alright, be right back.
Plus, for those one, I'm going to take a break myself. I want to check out the audio on the stream so that I know whether our audio is fine or not. So I'll also be right back. Oh, so I finished before he did. Well, then again, I know she goes fast. Anyways, yeah, just a quick update for those wondering. I am actually planning to add a new game to the arsenal in terms of streaming on Twitch. There is actually one thing that caught my interest recently, and I actually do want to play it. I won't reveal it yet, but all I can say is Zelda 1. That's a clue for you guys.
Okay.
And we're back. Okay. So, the interesting thing about this next topic, Josh actually messaged me a photo of a lot of the switches he has, and the topic in particular, and it's actually quite relevant to what's going on recently, especially with all of more rumors with the Switch Pro and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, so even though it's been over a year since the Switch OLED came out, I started thinking about it a couple weeks ago, and it's like, you know what? Like, it's... I think it's time for me to get the OLED. Which I have it right now. I would pull it out, but I'm too lazy. Don't think about that. But yeah, basically there were a couple things that really came to mind that made me sort of realize, or at least think, that I don't think we're gonna get another Nintendo console for at least another year. Funnily enough, one big reason is Splatoon 3. So, like, the game is gonna be getting new catalog content until September of next year, 2024. There is still supposed to be large-scale paid DLC coming out, most likely later this year. Not for certain, but going by Splatoon 2's release and then the Octo expansion, the expansion came out 1 year after the game itself came out, so they'll probably do the same sort of thing, is my guess. And with it being more of a competitive online shooter, does Nintendo necessarily want to give certain people an unfair advantage with them having better hardware that, if Splatoon 3 were to be updated to take advantage of higher powered hardware, that would give some people the advantage of a higher resolution and or a higher frame rate. Knowing Nintendo, they're not going to update the game to do that, to run better on more powerful hardware. And considering how Splatoon 3 was, at least at that point, I think it was at the very least the best launch for any video game in Japan.
Splatoon 3.
Splatoon 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Just confirm.
Yeah. Just because of that game alone, and also there was a special Splatoon 3 themed OLED Switch that, at the very least, has been making me feel that we're not getting a new system anytime soon. If we are, then it has to be backwards compatible with Switch games if we're getting one before September 2024. Considering that Splatoon is a core pillar Nintendo franchise at this point, whether people like it or not. I don't think they're gonna do that to one of their core pillar games, is make it fragmented. You could argue that, like, with the Switch Lite, technically then that gives people with the regular Switch or OLED that can dock like technically, yeah, you're able to play at 1080p rather than 720, but like the light came out after the original Switch, and it's like you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Like, you're gonna be playing with a lower resolution screen, and if someone is really actually gonna get into Splatoon, they're not playing on a light. They're playing on a regular Switch docked to a TV, because playing Splatoon in handheld mode is agony. It's not fun.
I can see why.
Yeah. But the bigger screen on the OLED has made playing Splatoon in tabletop with the Pro Controller, it's actually, like, it's way better than the original Switch. I do not have to strain my eyes whatsoever, because the screen is a full 7 inches compared to the 6.2 on the original Switch. Even though that doesn't seem like a whole lot, it is enough to where you feel it.
You feel that difference occur.
Yes.
I can see it.
Yes. And not to mention that the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass is still gonna be going until the end of this year. And at this point, whatever, like, Nintendo's almost assuredly working on a Mario Kart 9 that's gonna be for a new system, and the Booster Course Pass really does feel kind of like a stopgap between that.
Part of me stopping on that. When you say new console, you mean that's something that's not the Switch, or expansion of the Switch?
Right, basically, like, whatever their next major system is, which that could be, that kind of introduces an additional point that about backwards compatibility, like, or, well, no, not even that, but just feature parity.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident in saying that I don't think Nintendo is going to abandon the switching feature, because it's a feature that brings, like, an actually useful utility of either playing on the TV at home or taking it out of the dock and putting it in your bag, ideally in a case before you put it in your bag, and playing the same games outside. That's one of the big reasons why the Switch has been as successful as it's been, and I don't think Nintendo is going to abandon that. So I'm pretty sure that switching is just going to be a standard feature going forward, and Nintendo is going to innovate in other ways with other features of the console, basically.
I mean, let's not forget that during the presentation for the Switch, like the launch presentation, they mentioned how, like, all of the features of the Switch mimicked certain parts of, like, their previous consoles, from the NES all the way up to Wii U. So
yeah,
that's, you would say, it's like the celebration of their previous consoles. But then again, when you do that, like, the one problem that might stem out of it is, where do you go from there?
Exactly. And that's why I think switching is just going to be a standard feature of the consoles going forward, because it's really one of the big reasons why Switch is so popular, other than the games.
Yeah.
So,
you know what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because, like, when you mentioned how they possibly a new console, the first thing that came to my mind immediately was, really, Jiozak, that early you want to talk about a new console? But then again, I realized that now it's been like 6 years since the Switch released, the original Switch at that. And
yeah,
you look at
early
console
2017.
And you look at consoles like the GameCube. That from GameCube to Wii was 6 years. From Wii to Wii U, it was 6 years. And then from Wii U to Switch was actually less, 5 years. So, actually, the Switch is about to become like, yeah,
A little more than 4 years for the Wii U, but yeah,
yeah.
like 4 years and some change.
Really? I thought this Wii U was 2012.
Yes, it was late 2012. I think November, so 13, 14, 15,
yeah,
16.
4 years and 4 months around there, yeah. Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
that's shorter. So yeah, from the Switch to the next console, it will definitely be the biggest gap between main consoles. At least that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, when did N64
But-
come out?
96?
Okay, no, that's still 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Because GameCube was 01.
Yeah. Because I remember that Luigi's
Yeah.
Mansion, one of the launch titles, was 2001.
Mm-hmm. I have a couple other points about this. So, on the Kit and Krysta podcast, which I've literally listened to every episode. It is like the main podcast that I listen to. Like every time that there's a new episode, I make sure to listen to each new episode because Kit and Krysta were previously employees at Nintendo of America, but their satellite office that closed in California at the end of 2021. Kit and Krysta either were able to move to Redmond, Washington, which is where NOA proper is, or just leave. And they decided to leave, and because they were doing Nintendo Minute on the NOA YouTube channel, and they've had the experience doing content, they decided to do their own content so they can talk about Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, anything. One thing that was brought up, I think, in one of their Q&A segments, I forget exactly what it was, but basically they said that Nintendo considers the first 2 years of a console's life as to when to jump to the next generation. And the Switch, like, even though it took a bit, like, it was only 4 or so months after, like, they started having really good sales and became a juggernaut, like, from March of 2017 to then March of 2019. And because of that, I think Nintendo is going to milk the Switch as much as they can before they jump to the next system. And if games are still getting the sales like Splatoon 3 has, like, I don't see anything... Sorry. I don't see them jumping to another generation, at least for another year, but I wrote in my notes, I feel as though we're kind of in the last 1.5 to 2 years of Switch, but this last stretch of time, I feel, is going to bring some of the best titles that we're gonna see on the system, like, obviously Tears of the Kingdom coming out this May, as well as Pikmin 4, just talking about first-party titles, but it feels like they're still holding at least a good handful or two of games still in their back pocket, that we're just kind of waiting until they put out a direct to actually announce them. Sorry, I had to respond to a text there.
So
kind of the
oh.
key kind of the key game that I think is missing from the Switch, that every system since the Game Boy Advance has had, that the Switch does not have, that is a first-party title. Rhythm Heaven.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
And Rhythm Heaven has been interesting because almost always it's come out close to the end of a system's life. So for the Game Boy Advance, it came out, I think, when the DS had been out for a couple of years. I think there was some options in the game settings that I think better optimize the audio for the DS or something. I remember seeing that in the ROM that I played. Well, the English translated ROM. Rhythm Heaven on the DS, that came out 2009 when the 3DS came out 2 years later. The next Rhythm Heaven game was Fever on the Wii, which I believe that was the same year that the Wii U came out, 2012. Rhythm Heaven Fever.
Anyways, what I wanted to say jokingly was that, man, that's a very big pocket that Nintendo has.
Yeah.
And apparently they have very big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Anyways, carry on.
You're good. Wikipedia is saying 2011, but still, that was the year before the Wii U came out.
Yeah.
And then Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix on 3DS was 2016, a year before the Switch.
Man,
and
that's actually
even though
pretty
it's
thin.
Yeah, even though it's more of a niche series, I don't see why there wouldn't be a Rhythm Heaven game that is getting finalized for Switch.
Yeah. You know, as you say that, right, I could just think of Rhythm Heaven just being the celebration of all the sounds that you can make in each of the consoles. Because, as you said, it's released nearing the end of a period of a console. So that's quite interesting to see that trend holds up for that game.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we happen to see a Rhythm Heaven game, then definitely the Switch is gonna start winding down, but I think between now and then, like, I think Nintendo has no reason to rush the Switch, because it's still printing money for them, so...
Yeah.
Oh, and also, speaking of the special edition Splatoon OLED, there was the special edition Pokemon Scarlet and Violet OLED. So, I don't think the special editions, I don't think they want to put out a new system that would invalidate the people who maybe have bought a Switch for the first time and they got one of those special editions for major releases.
True.
So... But yeah, also, I did not like the original Switch screen. It got to the point where it's just like, this, I don't like this. And I've seen an OLED in person before, a Switch OLED, and I was like, yeah, let's just do this.
That's funny, because I actually don't mind the screen on the original Switch as someone who is still owning it for, I would say, close to 4 years now.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
again,
I think a lot.
I will say this every time whenever this comes up. I am so sorry to those who have drift issues. I still haven't had my thing drift.
Yeah, I only kind of have it on my Splatoon 2 themed Joy-Con, but not super severely. I'm thinking I might just send them in just to get a fresh pair, because you can do that here in the US.
Hi, Starlight. How you doing?
Yeah, I really haven't gotten drift either, outside of that. And also my Pro Controller's stick, sometimes I, like, let go of it and it doesn't, like, fully neutralize. It's, like, a little bit off, but, like, just flicking it again, kind of gets rid of that. And it kind of comes and goes, but it's not, yeah, doesn't really impact me too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had the OLED for coming up on 2 weeks now, and I've really been liking it. It's I wanted to get just the red and blue one because that's the standard Switch that I had, and I wanted to keep the full pair of red and the full pair of blue because I have the separately purchasable like opposite pair right here. But when I went to go trade it in at GameStop and do the system transfer, they only had the white ones. So I'm just like, whatever. It's ultimately it doesn't really bother me too much. Also because like if I'm playing docked, I'm using the Pro controller, and yeah, if anything, it almost gives me the extra like this might be weird, but like social power of like, these are my white Joy-Con. I want to keep them white. They are not going in anyone else's hands. So
I have zero clue how to feel about what you just said.
well, I want to keep the white Joy-Con nice and pristine for as long as I can.
Okay.
And knowing people, I don't want to put them in their hands lest they have something on their hands that gunks up the white.
Okay, that's what you mean.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, out of context, that definitely sounds strange.
I know, yeah, I could have worded that better, but yeah, I am not letting anyone use these nice pearly white Joy-Con that I have. I have plenty of other controllers they can use. They are not touching those white ones. So yeah, and also it's cool having the Ethernet on the dock, but I have Ethernet adapters that I've used on the regular dock, and it seems to perform the same, but it's nice that it's actually built into the dock. You don't need anything extra outside of the LAN cable.
Yeah.
Oh, I should tell the story. I told you this story last week when we chatted for a bit.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm picking this timestamp right now.
Sure. So I traded in my V2 Switch at GameStop for this OLED, and the worker there was like, okay, you can only, like, all your other save data will transfer, but you have to either forfeit your Animal Crossing New Horizons save or your Splatoon 2 save. Trust me, we've done this before with other people. There's no way to do it. And I had to be like, no, you can do both. And like, I was almost kind of flabbergasted. It's like, what made you think you can't? Granted, they both save data in special, they save data not like other games. So Splatoon 2 doesn't let you back up your save data to the cloud. Animal Crossing does, but the save data is tied to the system, not any one particular user. So that's why people that want multiple islands need to have multiple Switches.
Oh.
However, if you transfer your user or users that have your Splatoon 2 save data onto the new system, and then make sure there's still a user on your source Switch, the one that you're transferring from, making sure that there's still a user on that has an active Nintendo account, which if you only have one user, just reconnect your Nintendo account to the original Switch, just any user, and then you open up the, what is it called, Animal Crossing New Horizons Island Transfer Tool, which you can download free from the eShop. You open that up on both systems, make sure your old system is the source, your new system is the target, and it'll transfer your island perfectly fine. And once I got all my stuff transferred over successfully, I was really thinking about all of the people that this person, like, kind of screwed over. Like, they made them either sacrifice their Animal Crossing island or Splatoon save. When you can do both, it's just a little more fiddly. Granted, Nintendo should make the transfer process
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
like how it was on 3DS, like just 20 minutes and everything is on the new system. But because the Switch has a user system, it's more fiddly. But really, there should be an option to do a complete system transfer to a new Switch, not just an individual user. It's stupid. But anyways, yeah, I've booted up both games, even though, yes, I have Splatoon 3. I've booted up 2 for, especially within the past couple days, to record some footage for upcoming video. All my stuff transferred perfectly fine. So,
Well, that's nice.
yeah. So if there are people out there that have saves for both of those games, just do the regular user transfer. Because if you go to system settings, users, transfer your user data, you can, like, that's how you transfer your user to a new system. That'll bring all of your stuff over except your Animal Crossing island that you have to use the transfer tool for. And there's people out there who, like, they'll make a new user on the new Switch and just put their Nintendo account attached to that user, and then just individually download all of their cloud saves, when you can just do it in person if you have both systems. And he was also saying that, oh, just log into the new system with your Nintendo account, but you can do the direct user transfer with both systems in person to get everything over in minutes.
Oof.
Look, Nintendo should have done it better, but I know how to work around their jank.
And even, well, it definitely sounds a bit more fiddly, and I can see why some people are not in the know, but the fact that an employer doesn't actually know all this, as you listen to some very good water ASMR, it's very
Yes.
bad. That's... Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. I was a little salty about having to be like, actually, but I had to do it because otherwise I would have had to forfeit one of them.
That's quite crazy though, overall.
Mhm.
I mean, again, the fact that the employer doesn't know this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I know you said that it's very jank, but the fact that that the employer doesn't know or work around this, and like hasn't really like done his research, yikes.
Yeah, and even though, like, I've been playing Splatoon 3 and it's a better game than 2, I want to keep my save data for 2 because I 1000%ed both single-player campaigns. Yes, including this notoriously difficult special boss at the end of Octo expansion. So I want to keep that data. I never want to have to do that again because it was brutal. Which makes me wish that game had cloud saves, but it doesn't.
Just buy the physical copy.
Even with that, no
Actually,
matter...
yeah, true.
Yeah, the Switch stores your save data on the internal memory, not even on an SD card. It's only on the internal memory, so you can't even copy it over to a card and copy it onto your computer. It's locked to the internal storage.
Eek. Eek.
Yeah.
Technicalities, man, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, I have everything transferred over, and it's like as if I had my original Switch, except there are some things that I realized don't transfer over, like custom button mappings, saved news articles, something else that I feel like I'm forgetting.
I feel like
video clips and screenshots, even though I did back those up the day before.
I feel like the second one, by the way, may not be as major, I'll be honest, because it's just pressing a button to say, oh, I want to keep track of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, with the button mappings, like, some people may really be using those and they don't want to have to remake those. So
Yeah.
if you're really using the custom button mappings, at least like take a picture with your phone or something, or even take a screenshot, then make sure that screenshot is copied to your SD card and then dump it onto your computer. If you don't have an SD card, you can plug your Switch into your computer with a USB-C cable, and then go to data management in the system settings and manage screenshots and videos and copy to a computer via USB connection. And you can copy stuff that way. So, I did it with the SD card because all my stuff is on the SD card, so I just popped it in, and I actually have a running database of all of the screenshots and videos that I've taken on the Switch since I got it. I should look at how big that folder is. So I've had the Switch since 2018.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're transferring to a new system, take note of your custom button mapping presets, back up your screenshots and videos, and you're just gonna have to deal with not having your bookmarked news articles if that's really a big deal for you.
I say
Also,
oh,
right. I think any Miis that aren't tied to a Nintendo account don't directly transfer over. You can, in the Mii interface, hit send receive and search for users to connect with. And like transfer them over like that, but the only Mii that I have is my own personal Mii, so that wasn't really big for me. And then I think you're also, if you have any Bluetooth audio devices, you have to like reconnect those, but yeah, I just wish they gave the option for a full system transfer other than just individual users, but say la vide.
yeah.
That's my rant.
And as you say la vie, I'll just say Jackbox 9 should be on sale still on Steam if you want to get it.
Good to know.
I actually did notice it on the sales when I was looking through Steam stuff.
I think that's... yeah, I haven't bought in that pack yet.
Me neither.
Just because I only buy the new party packs if I know that I'm going to be with friends and family that like we're actually gonna play the Jackbox games. Because most months out of the year I do not play the Jackbox games because like you have to have other people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I say that, but I do have a video idea related to Jackbox that requires me to, or ideally I have to be with other people in person to actually execute the idea.
Faking
I
it?
can tell. Well, I can tell. I'll tell you later when we're done with this, because I don't want to talk too much about it right now, lest plans fall through, but let's say I have an idea related to Jackbox that I cannot do until later this year.
Interesting. It's like a continuation of when you did your You Don't Know Jack retrospective.
Sorta, kinda, not really. I'll leave it at that for now.
Well, there's a hit, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy. Anyways, is that all you have to talk about the OLED?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, now you got that right out of the way. At least you have that. I mean, for me, I'll just quickly give my perspective. Like, as I said before, that's quite crazy that the employer doesn't really know about it. And the fact that he might have like messed up so many other people because of that. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of sad knowing that it all stems from the fact that, well, Nintendo has a very complicated way of doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Apple. Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, except, well, like, even though Apple, like, there is a lot of stuff that you can, like, bash them for, if you're moving from an iPhone to a new iPhone, it's really simple, straightforward. You just put them next to each other, they find each other, and they just do the thing.
That's very true.
So, yeah. If you're staying in the Apple ecosystem like that, it's almost too convenient.
Yeah. Now that you say that, yeah, you're right. The transfer is just so dang easy. Like, I can say the same thing for Samsung, because I had to transfer my stuff to a new phone, the Samsung Galaxy A51, and oh boy, so quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite ridiculous how the technology is nowadays. It's just a bummer that some companies have definitely not, well, carried on the trend.
Yeah. Even moving from my Motorola phone to my Google Pixel, like, the Pixel comes with this little adapter right here, just a USB-A to C. This is mostly for iPhone users who may only have a Lightning to USB-A, but if you have an Android phone already, you can just use the C to C cable that the Pixel comes with. You just plug both phones into each other, and it copies everything over. So,
Quick.
yeah. Like, it's not gonna be like a exact one-to-one carbon copy, like you'll have to re-download your apps and stuff, but at least all your purchases, you can, like, re-download those, and photos, videos, all that does transfer over. So,
Quite nice.
mm-hmm.
Anyways, with that, onto just the minor topic for today, and that is now knowing that we're in the new year, and 2023 having all the uploads, all of the new releases coming up. I do actually want to talk about the Nintendo Switch Online and 64 releases, because last year we did get quite some exciting additions, including Mario Parties 1 and 2. But of course, there's still a few more coming up this year that I do want to talk about just for a bit.
Sure, yeah.
And the first one, I think you know what it is.
Mario Party 3?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we already have the first two Mario Parties on Switch. So, most people, it sounds like online, consider 2 to be their favorite, at least out of the original trilogy, but yeah, it's almost kind of surprising that the third one hasn't come yet. But I guess they were busy with getting Goldeneye done.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you know how, like, when we were talking about, oh, sure, Patrick, hi, also, how you doing?
Hello. Hydrate, I'll do that.
But yeah, when it came to Goldeneye, I remember last time we were talking about it, we mentioned how like it would be funny if Goldeneye released almost immediately after the podcast was done, or something on the lines of that. Well, it didn't, but it looks like they were intending to release it as soon as the announcement was made that it was coming out.
Yeah, because the prior game announcements, it's like they announce it's coming, but it doesn't come, or it doesn't get added until a week later. That's what I've noticed, at least. So it was kind of surprising for them to announce it and then only like a day or two later it's out.
Yeah, at least it's not like 7 months later.
Yeah.
Let's look on the bright side of this. Anyways, back to my MP3. You did mention that MP2 is like one of the favorites. I'll be honest, I had a period of time. I irrationally hated Mario Party 3. Do you know why?
Why is that?
I'll give you a clue. A certain co-op channel.
Oh.
You know where this is going.
Yeah.
I still have Proton John as my favorite every time Mario Party comes up. Let's just say I am not gonna watch the Mario Party TS playthrough.
Oh, did you say you're not gonna watch?
I'm not
the
gonna
DS?
watch it.
Yeah. At this point I've watched through the whole thing. I still have some clips to upload to a certain Twitter account, but yeah. Yeah.
Come on, like your channel is getting a lot more popularity now. I'm so glad for you, honestly.
Yeah. With that account especially, it's like I just upload the funny clips, and it's like it's not really my work that like people are following that account for just the things that Emil is saying, and I'm trying to just be as like behind the scenes with that as possible, because like it's not an account that like, how can I say this? It's not like I want to be associated with it, because like I have both the bios of both my main and the no context account reference each other. It's just I don't feel like putting like my actual self on the account is like pertinent. Basically, like that's not what people are following the account for. They're following it because of the funny clips. So anyways,
But yeah, so that's why, I mean, I did do, back when Flash Player was still a thing, I did actually manage to play through Mario Parties 1, 2, and 3 story mode, online. For those wondering, Arcade Spot was where I got to play all those games. And if you're wondering how playing, Mario Party is without a joystick, quite strange.
oh, I bet.
But I did manage to get through it. Funny thing though, Mario Party 1 and 2, I remember I had to reset now and then. I played all heart characters on Mario Party 3 throughout the entire story plot, including the dual boards. I don't think I had to reset on any of the main boards.
Okay.
I mean, my luck on the game, I'll be honest, back then was super ridiculous, honestly, at times. But at the same time, the AI, oh boy, they can be quite dumb. And I think it's quite evident with also the playthrough itself when you look at TRG, because there's certain stuff you may be thinking, what in the world is the AI doing?
Yeah.
Now, granted, is
But
it
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
But yeah, as Night Matrix is saying, yeah, John just got absolutely wrecked during the DS playthrough. Yeah. Suffice it to say, it was just John getting absolutely screwed over, in multiple different ways, which was surprising. I think, like a lot of other people, I was kind of face-palming at the start of the DK Stone Statue board, because Emil got a piece of information wrong about it, and those of us that grew up with the game were just like, oh no, is this gonna bite someone in the butt later? It did. Basically, the board only ever has one star space that never moves, and when you get there, you can buy as many stars as you can afford. Emil thought it was like, I think it's called Fair Square, where it's limited to 5, but in DS, the only limit is your wallet. And one of the events that can happen during the final 5 turns is you can buy stars for 5 coins.
Oh, no!
And Emil got to buy 22 stars in one turn because he was loaded with coins.
Oh,
So,
great. Yikes.
Yeah, really the optimal way to play that board? Hoard coins until the final 5 turns, hope that stars become 5 coins a pop, and get to the star space as quick as possible before a duel makes you lose all your coins.
Out of context, well, I won't say out of context, but out of topic, but I realized that now that Chugga now has his longest winning streak in Mario Party history now.
Yeah.
His longest was 3 back in Mario Party 1. And now he has 4 in a row in Mario Party DS. That's actually quite crazy to think that his record was lasted for that long.
Yeah, I was really hoping that he would have won the final board, so then he would have gotten a clean sweep.
Oh, dude,
But-
if that happened after all the bad luck he has had in 5 and 6, and especially 8.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been especially, like, retribution for that, but it's like, okay, sure, he can take 4 of the boards and Tim can win 1, that is okay.
Oh no, dude,
But-
the fact that Tim took 1, right, it's like, well, the clean sweep is still not gonna happen. Although I find it funny that, like, literally after Chugga got so screwed out of, like, certain, like, previous Mario parties, all of a sudden he has a Mario party that he is absolutely winning everything.
Yeah. Like, if you actually watch through the whole playthrough, which I did, like, halfway during some boards, John looked very clearly in the lead, but a couple things would happen to where he would lose multiple stars, and then Emil would gain a couple stars.
Oh.
Yeah, like, there was one time, I forget what board it was. John landed on a hex where it stole one of John's stars and gave it to Emil. And then, once that hex was used, it was a hidden block space.
Oh, that was the 2 stars lost in 1 turn, isn't it?
Yes, because in Mario Party DS,
Hidden blocks can take away stars.
Yep.
I'm glad we synced that.
Board 4, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it was board 4, I remembered.
Yeah, it was both, like, very funny just seeing how much John just got absolutely screwed over, but also it's just like, if you were in his position, like, yeah, that it would just feel awful, but also with the performance that he's had in previous Mario parties, it was kind of bound to happen.
I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I agree. And let's be honest, Mario Party 7, like, he didn't have the best level, yet he still won 2 boards. This case is even way worse.
Yeah, and it might be the tone for things to come because 9 and 10 are definitely more luck-based. And we all know John's luck.
Granted,
Or at least,
if he
yeah.
ends up winning all 5, I would laugh.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, a clean sweep is bound to happen. I know we're running on Mario parties, but a clean sweep is bound to happen sooner or later, in my opinion.
I guess if we're thinking of the remaining Mario parties that they have to do, obviously 9 and 10, now that, like, we know for sure that the portable Mario parties are game, and they're able to record them.
Yep.
I see them doing Mario Party Island Tour on 3DS and Star Rush on 3DS. Maybe even going back to the Game Boy Advance one. I don't know if that has multiplayer or not. And
I don't think they're
Super and Superstars on Switch. Even though they've done like a side guest series with Superstars, they have confirmed that they're going to be doing Superstars at some point with like the classic format of the 3 of them in person, the 4th player being a CPU. So.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I could go back to my Twitter, because I remember seeing a post about someone explaining about the AI in Mario Party DS. And
Yes.
can you give me some context on it? Because I assume it had to relate to the AI taking away John's stuff.
Yes, it
even
did.
though he could. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I can explain this. So, there's an item in Mario Party DS, I think it's called the Snag Bag, where you can choose a player to take a random item from. You get to choose the player, not the item from that player. If a CPU is using the grab bag, there is a rudimentary set of like instructions that they follow. They use it and they see, okay, does player 4 have any items to steal? No? Okay. Does player 3 have any items to steal? No? And so it goes down essentially by port number, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And because when they loaded, whenever the three of them went to like connect the systems together for download play, John always connected his last. So that was giving him that unknown disadvantage that the CPU, if John ever had an item, would always go for him.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, and like that's the same across all CPU difficulties. So
Absolutely trash programming there. Like, why?
yeah, I feel like it should have been based on like the items themselves. Like, okay, are there any star pipes? No. Are there any triple dice? No. Are there any double dice? And then kind of go from there. And like, if multiple people have like a star pipe, which one is closer to first place, and go for them.
Yeah.
That's what it should have done. That feels like it makes more sense. I don't know. 2008
Man.
programming.
Wait, 2008?
Yes, Mario Party DS came out 2008.
The same year that Mario Party 8 came out?
Yes.
Huh.
2007.
Ah, okay.
Actually.
I was about to say, there's
Close
no way
enough.
they would have released two Mario Parties in the same year.
Yeah, I was close.
But still, I mean, back to the main topic we're actually on, because we really definitely straight away talking about Chugga's luck and John's bad luck.
Yeah.
Granted, I'll be honest, Mario Party 3, I actually can't wait. But if there's one thing I know we're definitely not doing, playing online.
Yeah, that's the thing about the two of us specifically, that like we cannot play the N64 games together because we're thousands of miles away from each other. It just does not work.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, well, that plus the way that the N64 Switch Online games do the multiplayer, it just doesn't work when the players are literally like 14,000 miles away from each other. I checked.
Everyone, that's the distance between me and him.
Yes, I'm in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Joel is in Singapore. So
Have fun calculating that distance.
yeah. Well, like I said, 14,000 miles last time
Yeah.
I checked. I actually put those two locations into Google Maps, and that's what it told me.
Yep. Alright. Next up on the list, away from Mario Party, now that we've discussed about that. Just two quick releases I want to talk about. 1080 Snowboarding, Excitebike 64.
Yeah.
Racing games.
I forgot that there was an Excitebike game on 64.
I didn't know there was one to begin with, to be honest.
Yeah. And I guess it's great that it's being brought to the Switch, because then people will have a way to easily play it.
More like classic Nintendo games that still have withstood the test of time, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, the Pokemon Stadium games, but yeah.
Yep. Oh boy, I can't wait for that. I mean, granted, people have mentioned the fact that usually people will rent the Pokemon games. Don't think we'll have a good connection against the even our Malaysia. I mean, maybe Patrick. We could test it out if you have a Switch in due time, but who knows? Back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, I know people used to rent Pokemon. But the main thing that people like to do was like port their Pokemon from like, let's say, Gold, Silver, into the game. Now the problem is that there's no way to do that. So the one question is, how will that affect playing Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, there's the mini games that are in the Stadium games, but part of the draw is, or at least back in the day, was being able to take the Pokemon from your Game Boy games and battle them on the TV.
Exactly.
I think, yeah, it was last year, it was leaked that at least at one point Nintendo was working on bringing Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games to Switch. And I could see them putting in some sort of way that, like, it can read the save data from, let's say, Pokemon Red and Blue on the Switch Online app, and, like, read them, bring them over into the Stadium games, but who knows if that's actually a thing that they'll do. Yeah, that's just gonna be a wait and see sort of thing, unfortunately. But, like, they can do it that way. Otherwise, yeah, that's a big part of the Stadium games that is not really gonna transfer over very well. Obviously, there's the rental Pokemon. I think they're all level 50, memory serves.
They should be all level 50.
Yeah, so you can do, like, quick battles like that. But still, that kind of defeats the purpose. But also, those games came out back when Pokemon was only on handheld. Now it's on Switch, and you can just dock it to the TV.
Let's talk. Oh, good.
So I don't know if, like, preserving all of the functionality of the Stadium games is going to be a priority for them. Unfortunately, it's wait and see.
Let's not forget that those Pokemon games used the old Pokemon format, the old type charts and all that stuff. So, oh boy, I can't wait for anyone playing, like, who start with Scarlet and Violet to get a humongous culture shock.
Yep.
I use Psychic on Gengar. Oh, wait, no, not Psychic. I use whatever Ghost type move on Alakazam. It's not effective. Can't wait for them to see that. Wait, what?
Yeah.
That'll be funny to see. Although, let's just be honest. I think the Pokemon Stadium 2 games hype the fact that we're getting those.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I actually can't wait to actually, like, bring it to my friend's house to actually play them, because honestly, those are the that'll be quite cool to see, like, how they react to them. It's like, wow, these guys are better than the ones in Mario Party.
Yeah.
Well, at least some of them.
Right.
Still though, can't wait for them. I mean, you mentioned the fact that I think there's gonna be, like, new DLC / free content coming up, like, up to 2024, right?
Yeah, for Splatoon 3 specifically.
So I think the real question we should ask afterwards is, are there gonna be any releases in 2024 for NSO?
I would say yes, because of the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. It's kind of interesting because historically, Nintendo has never brought back in their original forms GameCube games. Now, yes, you can argue because of the analog triggers, the Switch doesn't have that, and yeah, you can plug in a GameCube controller into the dock, but then you don't get the same functionality if you're playing in handheld mode. but I feel like most games don't need the analog triggers. Like, just say, for example, Luigi's Mansion. They brought that to 3DS, where that has digital triggers. Played just fine. That's just one example. And, Sunshine in 3D All-Stars, that, at least at the start, yeah, it had 2 different buttons for using FLUDD. They did patch in being able to use a GameCube controller later. So I think that'll be an option, but if they do bring GameCube, they're gonna have to configure the triggers differently depending on like each individual game, but not every game uses the analog functionality, so other than that, and the games, like, each game by itself is like a gig big, and if you think about how many games are even on the N64 Switch Online, 4, 8, 12, 16, 22, that's gonna be a big download for a first-party Nintendo thing.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I almost think that if they do bring GameCube specifically, or even Wii, my guess is that there will still be an online app on the home menu, but then in the app, you have to individually download the games that you want, just because the games are that big, and not everyone has that sort of storage. I feel like that's how they'll do it, but...
if you're wondering, I just raised up my hand to say, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because he knows me as someone who actually doesn't have an SD card, micro SD card attached to my Switch. I've just been using regular storage space, and honestly, it still has not bitten me in the butt yet.
Well, I would say that's interesting, but oftentimes, or whenever you can, you tend to get physical for a lot of games, at least.
Yeah,
so...
I guess that's also another reason, because I prefer physical copies, and I know you did make a video, I probably will put it at the end slate of this video once I upload it, where you did explain how you were digital, but now you're going to switch to physical.
Well, I'm gonna do a mix of digital and physical.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I have Splatoon 3 digital still because it's a multiplayer game that I'll be continuously going back to, so not having to switch game cards is nice. But if it's something like, for example, the upcoming Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe, I think I'm gonna get that physical, because it's a game that has a finite amount of content that once I play through and beat, I don't know when I'm gonna be going back to it, so I can just pop that back into my case for my Switch, and it's not taking up any storage on my system, but I can still swap the cards out and play it again if I want to. So, basically, is it a game that I know I'm going to be going back to a lot, like Splatoon 3? I get digital. Anything else, I think I'm going to go physical for the time being, even though the OLED has 32 more gigs of storage.
Oh,
so
bro, please don't tempt me like that.
So I
I
have a little more breathing room.
I actually didn't even know that. I actually didn't even know it has that much space. Jeez.
Yep, from 32 up to 64 gigs.
I know my friend actually did buy an OLED. Honestly, I just look at it, I'm just like, oh, is it just a different Switch? I didn't know he had more storage space.
Yeah. Although, if the only thing that's if storage is your only concern, just get a micro SD card.
Very true.
The $50 from the regular Switch to the Switch OLED, you can use that to get like way more than 32 gigs.
Yeah,
let's see.
You know what? Now that you
Pulling
say
up
that,
Amazon.
Now that you say that, I might actually finally get a micro SD card. Soon enough, maybe around February or March. Alright, not to boast by any means, but I have been making good bacon, so I don't mind finally using it finally.
Yeah. Let's see here. Right now I'm using a 512 gig SD card in my Switch, and that is on Amazon. That's $50.
Yeah, I think it might be.
So-
Yeah, it might be about the same price over here if I don't buy it on Amazon. So yeah, I might actually finally invest in one.
Yeah, my recommendation is stick with a well-known brand like SanDisk, Samsung. Yeah, one of the
You had me at
the
SanDisk,
actual
so
name-
yeah.
yeah, one of the actual name brand cards. I probably Sony probably makes them. Just any like big name tech company, just trust one of them.
Yeah, I probably will.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
So-
yeah. I mean, yeah. The Teleswitch Online, I mean, we'll see what the future holds. If they end up putting more stuff, yay for us, I guess.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
just for fun. Just for fun. Yeah. A 1 terabyte card on Amazon is $107.
Wow.
So yeah, if you want even more, there you go. But that's kind of overkill at this point.
One last thing to ask, I think, to end off the session as I wind down. What's one N64 game you actually wish that they might put in NSO?
Donkey Kong 64. They haven't confirmed it, but it feels like one of like the N64 games that a lot of people grew up with that more people need to experience, even though it's kind of contentious for being an absolute pain to 100%. I think just for its, I guess, its historical value, it should be brought to the service.
I can see why you said
That
that.
and also Banjo-Tooie,
Oh,
because we have Banjo-Kazooie, but not Tooie.
doggone it, you took away the one I wanted to say.
Oh,
But yeah, no, Banjo-Kazooie I want, because I actually have not played Banjo-Kazooie yet, but I do want to do it in due time once I finish up Mario Odyssey, which... But also give an update. Sorry, I have not been posting anything. I've been too stuck with Pokemon Scarlet right now. I want to finish that game as soon as possible so I can finally go to Odyssey.
yeah, fair enough. Odyssey is a pretty good time sink. If you're going for at least getting enough moons to get to the Champions Road equivalent. So...
Yeah. Anyways, with
yeah,
that...
you don't need all the moons, but the vast majority of them. That's all I'll say.
Okay, we'll note. And with that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Oof. This was a good one.
Yeah.